Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Captain Kyle Nall, Commander of the Kentucky State Police Academy. On behalf of the Kentucky State Police and members of the Academy staff, I want to welcome you to the graduation ceremony of the 98th and 99th cadet classes of the Kentucky State Police. As we begin the graduation ceremonies, I ask you to please stand as the Kentucky State Police Honor Guard presents the colors of our nation and Commonwealth. Then please remain standing for the national anthem sung by Sergeant Billy Gregory, followed by the invocation by Sergeant Davy Norris.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and of the home of the brave?
Will, please bow your heads with me. Father, I come to you humbly this morning. I thank you, my God, for all that you do for us, Lord. I thank you for the blessings, and Lord, I thank you for bringing us through the difficult times. Father, I pray for these graduates today. I pray for peace in their lives. I pray for safety in their careers. Lord, I thank you for the sacrifices that they have made so far, and thank you for the sacrifices their families have made. Pray, Lord, that you would be with their families. Give them peace, Lord. Give them comfort. Lord, remind them that you are in control. Lord, I just praise you and thank you, and I pray that we would honor you as we serve our Commonwealth. In Jesus' name, amen.
Please be seated. Today's program serves as the pinnacle to the preceding 24 weeks of training completed by the new troopers of Cadet Class 98, as well as the 12 weeks of training the new troopers of Cadet Class 99 have completed. They have endured many long hours of physical, mental, and academic training in order to be called troopers as of today. In addition to the normal curriculum of a cadet class, 11 of the cadets from Cadet Class 98 embarked on being a part of the third group to attain their associate's degrees from Bluegrass Community and Technical College during their academy training. If those 11 troopers would please stand. Trooper Seth Blanton, Trooper Matthew Cornett, Trooper James Crawford, Trooper Philip Davis, Trooper Aaron Jones, Trooper Jonathan Ledford, Trooper Daniel Mann, Trooper Lisa Nelson, Trooper Tracy Salyer, Trooper Mark Spencer, and Trooper Wesley Thompson. These troopers have endured many long hours of homework, additional classwork, and the struggles of balancing the demands of the academy staff and college professors at the same time. Congratulations on your academic accomplishments. We're proud of you. Joining me today on stage for this very special occasion are some special honored guests that I would like to introduce. To my far left is the Honorable Sarah W. Combs, Justice of the Kentucky Court of Appeals. And to the right of her is the Commissioner of the Kentucky State Police, Richard Sanders. Also with us today, seated in the audience to my right, in the front rows are our agency lieutenant colonels and majors. And to my left in the front rows are the Kentucky State Police post and branch commanders. We would like to thank all the Kentucky State Police family for your attendance today, and thank you all for your support for cadet classes 98 and 99. I would also like to thank those in attendance today from other training academies and other police departments. I'd like to take this time to give some special recognition to the retired troopers that we have in the audience today. Would you all please stand? Thank you all for your sacrifices that you've endured and for paving the way for the rest of us. During their training, each of these troopers recognized all of our fallen troopers and officers through specially designed workouts. These workouts were designed to have rep schemes and times which are significant to the service of each of our fallen. Additionally, these heroes were recognized on the anniversary of their end of watch in cases where it fell within the dates of the class. On that date, the members of the class would gather around the memorial in the octagon of their barracks with a humble spirit. A volunteer from the class would then read the end-of-watch summary for that trooper or officer while we reflected on their service. Additionally, the cadets from Cadet Class 98 were privileged to be the first class to have the opportunity to honor both Cameron Ponder and Eric Chrisman by running in both of their memorial 5Ks. Thankfully, the cadets of Cadet Class 99 were able to join us in the Eric Chrisman 5K as that date fell within their academy training. At this time, I would like to take a moment to recognize the family members of fallen troopers Blake Tribby, Eric Chrisman, and Cameron Ponder, who are seated directly in front of me on the front row. It is our absolute honor to have you join us today. Thank you for all your support, not only to these cadets, but to me over the past 2 years while I've been in this position. Thank you for joining us. At this time, Commissioner Rick Sanders will provide some remarks. Commissioner Sanders is a 47-year veteran in law enforcement and was appointed as Commissioner of the Kentucky State Police in April of 2016. Commissioner Sanders had over 20 years of service with the DEA, where he retired as an assistant director before becoming the chief of Jeffersontown Police Department. He's an alumni of the University of Louisville, where he earned a bachelor's degree in police administration and a master's degree in justice administration. Commissioner Sanders.
Thank you, Kyle, for that introduction. I appreciate it. I'm honored to be here with you this morning, and I want to welcome everyone to this graduation. It's a very important day, not only for these graduates, but for all of us, especially the family members that have traveled to be with us this morning. I want to welcome Class 98 and 99, family and friends, academy staff, command staff, current and retired troopers, officers, and the like. But when talking about the academy staff, I want to mention and call out one person in particular. Kyle Null, who you just heard from, is a captain. He's our academy commander. And a couple years ago, I called Kyle. He was actually in Mayfield Post, which is Post 1, about 4 hours from here. And I said, Kyle, I want you to be our academy commander. And like a good trooper, he accepted the challenge. He and his lieutenant both traveled 4 hours to come to Frankfort to work as our academy staff. I handpicked Kyle because I got to know Kyle and I know of his professionalism and his dedication. And I thank him for taking the challenge and coming here. I thank the lieutenant and the family that were very gracious in sharing him with us. So Kyle becomes the academy commander, and I said, Kyle, I got some things I want you to do. And he just kind of sat there and looked at me. I said, the first thing I want to do is I want to take people that don't have college degrees and make them troopers. I believe in education, and I hope at this next session we can get some college incentive money so our troopers can advance their education. But what we're doing now is taking kids off of farm tractors in western Kentucky, kids out of coal mines in eastern Kentucky that have never had the opportunity to go to college. I was blessed. Most of you here, well, those that know me have heard me say this before, but I'm a blessed man. I really do believe that. I'm of 4 generations of law enforcement in my family. My grandfather was a deputy sheriff in Edmonson County. My dad's a retired police officer from Jefferson County. My brother's a retired police officer from Louisville. My oldest son is a DEA agent in Louisville. My youngest son is a Louisville Metro police officer. And I'm blessed to be a part of the law enforcement community. But Kyle Naw took this upon himself and has done an exemplary job. And to reward him, he asked to go back to Post 1, which has a captain's vacancy, and he and the lieutenant will both go home. But I just want to publicly thank them for their service. And I want to thank the Academy staff for the job that they do. It's not an easy tasking. It's very difficult. And they do a great job, and I appreciate each and every one of them. And that includes Sarah and Kate, who did a lot of work to prepare for this ceremony this morning. One other thing about Kyle, and I'll move on. This weekend, we're actually having the International Association of Chiefs of Police up in Chicago. It's a meeting of international police chiefs, sheriffs, and Kyle Naw has been recognized as one of 40 under 40, and what that means is that's only 40 people in the world under 40 years of age are being recognized for their dedication, commitment, integrity, and service. This is not a small deal. This is a big deal. And one of our own is being recognized as 40 under 40. Kyle, congratulations to you. And I also want to recognize our honor guard and Sergeant Billy Gregory, who sang the national anthem. You know, I am so proud of the Kentucky State Police and what we represent. As Kyle said, I've been in law enforcement 4 decades, and I have seen law enforcement wax and wane. But the Kentucky State Police continues to stand tall and continues to represent professional law enforcement as only they can. And I'm proud of each and every one of them, and I'm proud to call them my family. I appreciate every one of them. I may get a little bit emotional this morning because my father, who I mentioned, is a retired police officer. He's 94 years old, and as right now we're transitioning him this morning from a nursing home back to the hospital. My dad's 94 and had 93 great years, but the last year has really been tough. He's had a tough go of it. And I was with him until midnight last night. I was actually sitting in his room writing out a few remarks to say this morning. And I said, Dad, I've got to welcome 48 new troopers tomorrow, and I've got to speak to their families. And what would you have me say to them after serving a career in law enforcement? And he said, Rick, all I can tell you is the importance of your reputation and your character. He knows he's dying. but he's so proud of the fact that he's going to his grave knowing of his reputation. My dad is the exemplary of law enforcement. My dad represented police the way police should be represented. He actually practiced community-oriented policing before it became popular. My dad rode a beat on South Dixie Highway, and everybody in that community still loves my dad. And my dad could get rough. When my dad had to get tough, he would. But you know, he said, Rick, he said, you got to remember the oath that we take to protect and serve. And he said, we do a great job of teaching our cadets, our troopers, our officers, how to protect our community and themselves. But they should never forget service. Service above self. These young troopers have all been issued a lot of equipment, guns, badges, handcuffs, tasers, a lot of different instruments, but I want to talk about two of them in particular. Every trooper and every law enforcement officer sitting in the audience today has been issued a badge and an ID plate. And I want to talk a little bit about those. My dad talked about the ID that identifies them by name. And I think it's extremely important at the end of a law enforcement career that we protect and honor the name that's on that nameplate. Whether it's Sanders, Smith, Johnson, or Habib, it doesn't matter. Never forget your family name and keep it in your hearts when you're doing your job. But I want to talk more about the badge. You know, the badge has two sides. And that side that faces inward faces your heart. And there's a reason for that. Because that is your badge talking to you saying, have a servant's heart. Be a servant leader. That will guide you in how to protect and serve those that are being looked at from the exterior of that badge. That badge has the name of the Kentucky State Police, and we are representing the Commonwealth of Kentucky. But it's facing those people in the community that we are here to protect and serve. And don't ever forget that. The badge is critically important. Remember, it has two sides, and you can define how each of those is rewarded. I want to congratulate the class of 98 and 99. We have 48 young troopers graduating this morning, and the Commonwealth is a safer place because of that. We're still short. This brings up to 843 troopers, and we have 62 commercial vehicle enforcement officers. My goal, and I've talked to the governor about this, and he agrees, is that we need 1,100 troopers minimum. And we're working toward that, but it's becoming more difficult every day to recruit and retain troopers. I knew when I was 6 years old what I wanted to be. I sat on my dad's police motorcycle with a helmet on and dreamed of being a police officer. Because I wanted to be like my dad. And I have no regrets. I'm happy that I've chosen this profession. I've been blessed to have a great career. But it's harder every day to get people to commit to law enforcement. We're continually scrutinized and demonized, and vilified by the press. They don't show the good things that we're doing. They show the mistakes that we may make occasionally. And I'm one that believes when we mess up, we dress up and fess up. But don't forget the great job that men and women in law enforcement do every day of the year. Daytime, nighttime, it doesn't matter. Holidays, weekends, they're out there protecting and serving. Professionalism is paramount, and that starts day one in our KSP Academy. Professionalism being shown by our academy staff, preparing these men and women for a very difficult tasking. We have pride in our uniform. The state police is one of the most proud organizations I've ever been a part of. And I told the troopers Tuesday night when I swore them in at the Capitol Be prideful, but don't be arrogant. Don't tell everybody you're the best. Show them you're the best. And I think we do that every day. Integrity is important. Doing what is right when nobody's looking. It's extremely important to remember that, troopers. Do what's right even when no one is looking. We call them law enforcement officers, but they very seldom do law enforcement functions. They do everything else in most of their time. They respond to an accident scene where they're holding the hand of somebody that's dying, taking their last breath, or responding to a suicide where somebody's already taken their life, and then they have to deal with the family, notification, and comfort that family who has lost a loved one. They respond to domestic violence when that couple no longer loves each other like they did at one time. They respond to child abuse. They respond to sexual abuse. They respond to addiction and mental illness on a daily basis. And I think the biggest thing facing law enforcement today is that of the mentally ill. We have failed law enforcement by not giving them the tools to deal with those that are mentally ill. All we're doing is asking them to take that person and place them into custody, and typically they go to jail instead of going to the hospital where they can get treatment. That's the kind of job that they have to do every day. One thing we are doing, and I'm very happy to say, we have just received a federal grant where we're going to be getting social workers in every post, one social worker. And they will not come out of the KSP budget. It's a federal grant. And what that does, it will allow a trooper to work that investigation, take that victim, and turn them over to a social worker so that social worker can then find the place where they need to be for help or treatment. I'm proud of that. And I think these troopers will be proud to work side by side with those people that will allow them to get back out on the highway and do the Lord's work. I want to remind you, too, that it's important to remember family. These men and women now have become part of the thin gray line, family. They also have a family that's sitting out in the audience that is their support mechanism. And it's important that these troopers and all officers never forget your family. The family sacrifices a lot so we can go out and do what we do. But we, too, need to lean on somebody. And I would remind these troopers and everybody in the audience, don't be too proud to ask for help, to cry on somebody's shoulder and say, I need help. And lastly, don't forget God. I think it's important that we're having this ceremony, this graduation in a church, because I, for one, believe in the power of prayer. And I talked to a pastor outside this morning, and I said, pray for these troopers. They need your prayer. And I pray for them every day. So I will remind them never to give up, never to forget the thin gray line, your new family, the family that sacrificed to get you here and keep you here, and never forget to rely upon God. And I talked to Randy Chrisman just before we started, and I have a fondness for Eric Chrisman, a young trooper that hadn't been out of the academy very many months. He and some other classmates unfortunately perished shortly after graduating. But Randy shared with me the notes that Eric had written on his desk before he died in a terrible car crash as a trooper. And he said a lot that really means a lot to me and it means a lot to my heart. But he said, and it's become a saying of the Kentucky State Police, God first, family second, and everybody is family. And don't ever forget that. And troopers, I wish you well. You've gotten a lot of training. We have prepared you, but don't ever give up on those people that support you every day. To all those people in law enforcement, thank you. Thank you for your service. Thank you for what you've done for the Commonwealth and for this great nation. As Kyle said, I'm a 40-year-plus law enforcement veteran. I'm hoping the IACP has a 60 over 60, Kyle. I might fit into that category. But I'm extremely proud of the job that I do. I'm extremely proud of this badge that I wear, the Kentucky State Police. And I want to thank you for sharing these 48 people with the Kentucky State Police to make this a safer Commonwealth. Thank you very much.
The president of Class 98 is Trooper Dakota Rashi. Trooper Rashi is from Moorhead, Kentucky, and after today he will return home to be assigned to Post 8 Moorhead. Ladies and gentlemen, Trooper Rashi.
Good morning. Thank you, Justice Eric Holmes, Commissioner Sanders, command staff, Captain Nall, distinguished guests, families of the fallen, family and friends. It is an honor to be standing here before you today as the elected president of Class 98. You see, it was 6 short months ago that I was only one of 74 men and women to report to 380 Coffee Tree Road. Some came that day in hopes of becoming a police officer, but only 41 of us came with the goal of becoming a Kentucky State Trooper. When I think back to where it all began, it all kind of fades to black. Not the type of black that most of you are likely thinking, where you can't remember anything. No, I assure you, we remember. The type of black you see when you walk into the multi-purpose room, and you can't see anything but blue lights flashing and flashes of campaign hats circling the room. I can still hear the sounds of the instructors politely greeting each of us as we entered the room. The emotions that I was feeling that day, and I'm quite certain each of my fellow classmates were feeling, are almost indescribable. Excited, unsure, and anxious are just a few descriptors that I would use to describe how we were all feeling in those moments. Nervous would likely be the most prevalent among all of us. Have you ever been so nervous that you forgot your own name? Now, that may sound silly to some of you, and understandably so, but I assure you it happened. Lucky for us, the instructors could see it and allowed each of us to pull out our license, hold them straight out in front of our faces, and stare at our names for nearly an hour, just so we could remember them. Thank you all. I didn't realize how much you cared. From that point on, we got to find out how much they really cared about us, mostly by the amount of time we spent together. Waking up at 4:30 to begin PT, the instructors were there to greet us good morning. Each meal we went to, the instructors were there to make sure we enjoyed every bite. The afternoon tours of the campus we would go on, the instructors were there to show us around. Sometimes the instructors would want to spend so much time with us, they would generously offer to stay late on a Friday night, and sometimes even the whole weekend with us. I say all this tongue-in-cheek because in actuality, we really did spend a tremendous amount of time together. Who would have thought you could bring together a group of people from various walks of life that can mesh so well? Within Class 98, there are former police officers, business owners, diesel mechanics, correctional officers, prior military, dispatchers, and some straight out of college. We have those that came to the academy at 20 to 46 years of age. All of these things are examples of how and why we were all different. But the one commonality and thing that brought us and kept us all together is the goal of becoming a Kentucky State Trooper. The nights have been short and the days have been long over the last 24 weeks. There are many hours spent on the range, long days spent in the bowl, swinging an asp during defensive tactics, and countless memories made while on the driving track. We got the opportunity that very few get to travel to Bowling Green to the National Corvette Museum, spend the day learning what it's like to be involved in high-speed pursuits and to find out what our patrol cars are really capable of doing. Not only did we get to find out what our cars are capable of, but we also got to find out what our bodies could endure as we spent a week at the island. While at Trooper Island, we were exposed to OC spray, CS gas, and even got tased. We even got to have a little fun while at the island, as the instructors allowed us to play hide and seek a few nights that week. As you can tell, the men and women on this stage have sacrificed many things over the last 6 months. Countless meals with their families, missed ball games, their children's first steps, and even had to be away from their families during tragic times as a loved one has passed. However, none of these things will ever be greater than the sacrifices each of you sitting here today have endured. I think I can speak for everyone here that without each of you and the sacrifices you have made, we would not be sitting here today. You have given us your sons, daughters, husbands, wives, mothers, and fathers. I am confident that we are returning home better men and women than the day we left because of the Kentucky State Police Academy and their staff. Class 98, just know you're going to be challenged. You're going to be tempted. You're going to find yourself in very difficult situations. I implore you to always remember your duty to your people and your home. I look at each of you and I see all the potential in the world. I see a future commissioner, members of command staff, captains, lieutenants, and sergeants. I see excellence and the potential to succeed. As you strive to achieve, ladies and gentlemen, always remember to do your best, work hard, and consistently maintain your honesty and integrity. Life is full of many challenges, and the world we live in is far from perfect. Nevertheless, I have the utmost faith in you. I believe that you'll make this state a better and safer place, and that you'll be shining examples of professionalism. I believe that we can depend on you, and that you'll make us all proud. The Commonwealth of Kentucky is counting on you. Congratulations, and always be safe.
Thank you, Trooper Rashi. The president of Class 99 is Trooper Clinton Overstreet. He comes to our agency from Bedford, Virginia. After today, Trooper Overstreet will be assigned to Post 12, Frankfort. Ladies and gentlemen, Trooper Overstreet.
Good morning. Welcome, Commissioner Sanders, Justice Sarah Combs, Academy staff, fellow troopers, police officers, family and friends to the Cadet Class 98-99 graduation ceremony. Some 12 weeks ago, there were 14 individuals that descended upon the Academy. Some did not remain for various reasons, and the class stands at 7 strong today, making it the smallest class to graduate from the KSP Academy. Since the day we reported, the Academy staff has frequently reminded us that the title of trooper is earned and never given. On August 4th, everyone showed up to the Academy with different backgrounds, expectations of what was in store, and different reasons for wanting to take on this challenge. Even as complete strangers, we did all share 2 things in common. Everyone was prior law enforcement, and we all had the same goal to become a Kentucky State Trooper. After just a few hours on day 0, it became abundantly clear that this would be no easy task. Cadet Class 99, although being small in numbers, had 7 cadets that had the fight and determination to make it here today. The training consisted of long days and short nights, and as we were aware that 6 months of training had to be condensed into just 12 weeks, which meant there wasn't any time to mess around, just to train. Through trials and tribulation, we were pushed to our limits, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. As we reported on Sundays, several cadets left behind spouses and small children. Some cadets missed birthdays, family gatherings, and one cadet left a 3-week-old child at home on reporting day. On behalf of Cadet Class 99, I would like to thank the family members of not just the class, but the Academy staff for their sacrifice and support they have provided throughout this journey. Through the 12 weeks that we have been cadets, the experience has been an exciting learning process. We utilized the equipment and knowledge that the Academy staff had to offer and even traveled out of state on multiple occasions to further hone the skills that we would need to use as troopers. We were pushed to our physical, mental, and emotional limits to show each of us that we could, in fact, handle the pressures that a trooper faces each and every day. Though we didn't always agree and see eye to eye, we became family. Cadet Class 99 had the honor and privilege in participating in the Trooper Eric Chrisman 5K run and completing several hero workouts to honor fallen troopers, with parents of the fallen and close friends being present at a few of the workouts. To the Academy staff, I challenge you to always instill in future cadet classes the knowledge, skill, and professionalism that you taught us. To every trooper, I challenge you to always exceed the standard of professionalism set forth by this very special organization. You and every citizen of Kentucky can be proud of the Kentucky State Police, one of the top law enforcement agencies in the country. I'll leave you with this quote: "May you serve with the intelligence to know truth, with the firmness to defend it, and with the compassion to love it." Thank you.
Thank you, Trooper Overstreet. Both of these gentlemen spoke vividly of the sacrifices made by their classmates, their families, and the Kentucky State Police Academy staff. We understand those sacrifices all too well, and we are grateful to those of you who supported them during this trying endeavor. Likewise, I would be remiss if I failed to recognize the efforts of my staff in training the 48 troopers who are receiving diplomas today. The members of my staff, both sworn and civilian, sacrificed sleep, time at home with their families, vacations, and many of the other luxuries of life to ensure that these new troopers were tested and challenged every single day of their training. 2 of those staff members celebrated the birth of children during these cadet classes while continuing to prove their dedication by only missing a few days of work. While our job at the Academy branch is to ensure that we mold these men and women into troopers, we also believe that our calling is to invest in the lives of the cadets who we have the honor of training. When I first accepted this assignment 2 years ago, I was unsure of what the assignment was all about. I could remember the highlights of my own cadet class, but Academy life as a cadet leaves a large majority of what goes on behind the scenes up to the cadet's imagination. Over the past 2 years, I've seen 125 troopers receive the best law enforcement training in the nation. Training that requires true grit. Merriam-Webster defines grit as courage and resolve and strength of character. We demand these men and women demonstrate grit. They must have the courage to push themselves past their own preconceived limitations. They must have the resolve it takes to get up every day, sore and fatigued, but continue their commitment to the Commonwealth. And they must demonstrate the strength of character necessary to sacrifice the comforts of civilian life, devoting their lives as the sheepdogs who stand between the flock and the dangers lurking about. As you can imagine, over the past 2 years, I've also witnessed the members of my staff stress endlessly over ensuring that the training provided fully prepares these men and women for the dangers that every one of us face when we put this uniform on. What caught me by surprise while serving in this position was the aspect of the job that probably goes unnoticed the most. The job that we have is so much more than training troopers. We're working on far more than that. Recently, Trooper Aaron Hampton from Cadet Class 96 was recognized across the globe as a picture of him went viral while he was holding an unsettled baby in a restaurant, allowing the child's mother to finish her meal. When asked what drove him to approach the woman and child, who were both strangers to Trooper Hampton, he quoted Trooper Eric Chrisman's writings. The commissioner quoted them earlier. "My God is first, my family is second, and everyone is family." The secret that these cadets do not know, but I suppose will be revealed today, is that my staff and I have spent just as much time preparing them for the lifestyle of being a trooper as we have training them to complete the day-to-day tasks. In 2010, my father retired from teaching high school English at a small high school in western Kentucky. During his retirement speech, he captivated an audience while giving his final grammar lesson. That lesson turned out to be less about grammar than what it first appeared. My father drew a small horizontal line on a dry erase board and asked who could identify the symbol. After a few incorrect guesses to include a hyphen, an underscore, a subtraction sign, and others, my father identified the line as being that of a dash, and on that note, he read the following poem by Linda C. Ellis titled "The Dash." The poem goes like this. I read of a man who stood to speak at the funeral of a friend. He referred to the dates on the tombstone from the beginning to the end. He noted that first came the date of birth and spoke of the following date with tears, but he said what mattered most of all was the dash between those years. For that dash represents all the time they spent alive on earth, and now only those who love them know what that little line is worth. For it matters not how much we own, the cars, the house, the cash. What matters is how we live and love and how we spend our dash. So think about this long and hard. Are there things you'd like to change? For you never know how much time is left that still can be rearranged. To be less quick to anger and show appreciation more, and love the people in our lives like we've never loved before. If we treat each other with respect and more often wear a smile, remembering that this special dash might only last a little while. So when your eulogy is being read with your life's actions to rehash, would you be proud of the things they say about how you lived your dash? Much like those who taught these men and women during their elementary, middle school, and high school education, and much like their parents and grandparents devoted themselves during those years of growth, my staff takes on the responsibility of ensuring that we are developing them into good humans. With examples like the 31 fallen heroes they learned so much about, we work hard to instill these same values in our cadets, values that emphasize the importance of commitment, courage, honor, compassion, integrity, and selflessness. What may be hard for these cadets to understand during the stress and challenges of academy training is that our goal is for those we train to utilize every day of their dash to make a difference in the world that we live in. Earlier this year at the graduation ceremony for Cadet Class 97, I quoted Martha Beck in saying, "The way we do anything is the way we do everything." Throughout history, many have questioned the methods in which we train at the Kentucky State Police Academy. A large majority of people will never know firsthand just how difficult it is to withstand the 6 months of training. Even fewer will ever know firsthand just how difficult it is to take on the awesome responsibility of training cadets to enter a world where there are people who detest their very existence. A very wise previous staff member once told me that training cadets is fun until you have to bury one whom you were responsible for training. A day that we all pray we will never have to face. The 2 ladies and 46 gentlemen sitting behind me are worth more to us than I could ever express with words. Their lives depend on the dedication of those who are entrusted with their training. And quite frankly, in my observations, those individuals have invested in more than just how well these cadets shoot, drive, and fight. They invested in how they live and the legacy that they have every opportunity to leave on the world that we live in. The same kind of legacy left by Trooper Eric Chrisman that carried over to Trooper Aaron Hampton earlier this year. They've invested in their dash. Well done, staff, and well done, Class 98 and Class 99. Commissioner Sanders, it is my honor to announce that the members of Classes 98 and 99 have successfully completed the academic, vocational, and physical training requirements for graduation from the Kentucky State Police Academy. Based on their performance, recommendations of the Academy staff, and by my authority as Academy Commander, I recommend the conferring of diplomas to Class 98 and Class 99 as troopers with the Kentucky State Police. Class 98 and Class 99, please rise. Ladies and gentlemen, I ask that you please hold your applause until we've concluded the awarding of diplomas. We will begin with the troopers of Cadet Class 98. Justin Baker, Lost Creek, Kentucky. Chad Barnes, Richmond, Kentucky. Seth Blanton, Paintsville, Kentucky. Janus Briscoe Jr., Bowling Green, Kentucky. Garrett Clark, Hickory, Kentucky. Bailey Combs, Vico, Kentucky. Matthew Cornett, Corbin, Kentucky. Brandon Crabtree, Taylorsville, Kentucky. James Crawford, Crofton, Kentucky. Philip Davis, Nicholasville, Kentucky. Cody Edwards, Glasgow, Kentucky. John Goldsboro, Louisville, Kentucky. Dustin Gross, Richmond, Kentucky. Casey Hamby, Marion, Kentucky. Ben Hubbard, Glasgow, Kentucky. Cody Jackson, Hazel, Kentucky. Aaron Jones, Somerset, Kentucky. Tate Knight, London, Kentucky. Stephen Kruger, Florence, Kentucky. Jonathan Ledford, Cumberland, Kentucky. Daniel Mann, Hardyville, Kentucky. Jonathan McGraw, Grayson, Kentucky. Wesley Montgomery, West Liberty, Kentucky. Lisa Nelson, Louisa, Kentucky. Dylan Pennington, London, Kentucky. Grant Penrod, Lewisburg, Kentucky. Jared Perkins, Greensburg, Kentucky. Gregory Randolph, London, Kentucky. Noah Ritchie, Hazard, Kentucky. Tracy Salyer, Salyersville, Kentucky. Michael Sanguini II, Lexington, Kentucky. Joseph Simtak, Beattyville, Kentucky. Dylan Spencer, Shepherdsville, Kentucky. Mark Spencer, Paintsville, Kentucky. Landon Terry, Bardstown, Kentucky. Wesley Thompson, Cave City, Kentucky. Matthew Turner, Jackson, Kentucky. Alexander Van Hoos, Paintsville, Kentucky. Mason Wilson, Warsaw, Kentucky. Alec Winters, Central City, Kentucky. At each cadet class graduation, we honor the valedictorian of the class. For Class 98, the valedictorian is Trooper Dakota Rashi from Moorhead, Kentucky, who has distinguished himself with a GPA of 93.01%. Trooper Rashi managed to accomplish this while also having the responsibility of being the president for Class 98. As the valedictorian, Trooper Rashi will be the recipient of a new 2019 Dodge Charger patrol car. Ladies and gentlemen, Trooper Rashi. We will now present Cadet Class 99 with their diplomas. Cadet Class 99 reported on August the 4th, 2019 as an accelerated class with only previously certified officers. They joined Cadet Class 98 midway through their 24-week journey. This was only the second time in the history of our agency that a traditional class and an accelerated class ran concurrently. Starting with Travis Cundiff from Olive Hill, Kentucky. Kevin Day, Hazard, Kentucky. Wade Denton, Robards, Kentucky. Matt Johnson, Shepherdsville, Kentucky. Dean Luns, Edmonton, Kentucky. Lacey Schroeder, Owensboro, Kentucky. For Cadet Class 99, the valedictorian is Trooper Clinton Overstreet from Bedford, Virginia. Trooper Overstreet distinguished himself with a GPA of 94.35%. Trooper Overstreet also managed to accomplish this while being the president for Class 99. As the valedictorian, Trooper Overstreet will also be the recipient of a new 2019 Dodge Charger patrol car. Ladies and gentlemen, Trooper Overstreet. Ladies and gentlemen, the Honorable Sarah W. Combs, Justice of the Kentucky Court of Appeals, will now administer the oath of office.
Would you please raise your right hand and listen carefully as I repeat the constitutional oath of Kentucky, and at the end of which I will ask you if you will be able to comply with this oath. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you will support the Constitution of the United States and that you will support the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Kentucky so long as you continue a citizen thereof, and that you will faithfully execute to the best of your ability the office of Kentucky State Trooper according to law? And do you further solemnly swear or affirm that since the adoption of the present Constitution, you being a citizen of this state, have not fought a duel with deadly weapons within this state nor out of it, nor have you sent or accepted a challenge to fight a duel with deadly weapons, nor acted as second in carrying a challenge, nor aided or assisted any person thus offending, so help you God? Will you so swear or affirm? I will! Congratulations, troopers. God bless.
Thank you, Judge Combs. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand as the Honor Guard re-enters with the colors of our nation and Commonwealth. The benediction will now be given by the chaplain of Cadet Class 98, Trooper Tate Knight, with the reading of the Trooper's Prayer. At the conclusion of the Trooper's Prayer, please remain standing for the singing of My Old Kentucky Home by the troopers of Cadet Classes 98 and 99.
Let us pray. Almighty God, whose great power and eternal wisdom embraces the universe, continue to watch over all law enforcement officers, we pray. Keep them from harm in their endeavor to stop crime and violence. Help them keep our streets and homes safe by night and day. We commend them to your love and care because the job is dangerous. Grant them your unending strength and courage in their daily activities. Dear God, watch over these brave men and women. Grant them your almighty protection and unite them safely with their families when duty is done, and give them peace. Amen.
Class, prepare to sound off My Old Kentucky Home. Sound off. The sun shines bright on my old Kentucky home. 'Tis summer, the people are gay. The corn tops ripe and the meadows in the bloom, while the birds make music all the day. The young folks roll on the little cabin floor, all merry, all happy and bright. By and by, hard times comes a knocking at the door, then my old Kentucky home, good night. Weep no more, my lady, oh, weep no more today. We will sing one song for my old Kentucky home, for my old Kentucky home far away. The head must bow and the back will have to bend, wherever the people may go. A few more days and the trouble all will end, in the fields where sugar canes may grow. A few more days for to tote the weary load, no matter 'twill never be light. A few more days till we totter
At this time, Kentucky's new troopers will recite the Trooper's Creed, and then Sergeant Shavies will give the command to dismiss the class. Upon the command to dismiss, this will conclude our graduation ceremony. Thank you for joining us today.
Prepare to sound off the Trooper's Creed. Sound off!